Migrant gangs have just cracked the code to Britain's biggest security weakness. While you're sleeping, they're making mockery of maritime rescue laws with one twisted trick. I'm Andrew Meet Rich, former state media analyst turned independent truth teller, and today I'm revealing the deception that's letting thousands flood into Britain unchecked. But wait until you hear what Germans really think about their own leaders, because 84% just delivered a devastating verdict that exposes Europe's political irrelevance on the world stage. This isn't just migration madness, this is the collapse of European authority in real time. Hit that like button if you want the unfiltered truth, subscribe for daily reality checks, and consider supporting independent journalism, because tomorrow mainstream media could bury these stories forever. You won't believe how far this rabbit hole goes. Here's the scam that's making British taxpayers fund their own invasion. Criminal networks are now instructing migrants to place false distress calls while crossing the English Channel. They dial emergency services, pretend they're drowning, act like their boats are sinking. French Coast Guard rushes out, British Border Force scrambles vessels, everyone thinks lives are at stake. But when rescue teams arrive, guess what? No emergency, just migrants sitting calmly, waiting for their free taxi service to Dover. You see the genius of this manipulation? Maritime law forces rescue teams to stay with the boats once they respond. They can't just leave, so Britain's own rescue services become the smugglers' best asset. The government won't tell you this, but over 50,000 migrants have arrived since Labour took power using these tactics. This isn't random chaos, it's organized warfare against British sovereignty. Smuggling gangs have studied every legal loophole, every humanitarian obligation, every rescue protocol. They've turned our compassion into their weapon. The same laws designed to save sailors in genuine emergencies now guarantee safe passage for anyone willing to pay the price. And now listen carefully, the numbers prove this system is completely broken. First half of 2025 alone saw 20,000 crossings. That's 48% higher than the same period in 2024. And now listen carefully, this gets even worse. These aren't desperate refugees fleeing immediate danger. These are customers paying premium prices for premium service. The false distress calls guarantee rescue, guarantee safe passage, guarantee arrival. It's like Uber for people trafficking. Want to know the real kicker? British taxpayers are funding both sides of this operation. We pay for Border Force, we pay for French Coast Guard cooperation, we pay £8 million daily housing these arrivals in hotels. That's nearly £3 billion annually, while British families struggle with heating bills. Just imagine that for a second, we're literally paying smugglers to succeed. The system designed to save lives at sea is being weaponized to destroy border control. Here's where it gets even more twisted. These criminals have perfected the timing. They launch boats in good weather, make distress calls at peak rescue hours, coordinate multiple launches to overwhelm response capacity. Dover lifeboats get called in when every Border Force vessel is already responding to fake emergencies. You see the pattern, right? This isn't amateur hour, it's military-grade logistics using our own humanitarian laws against us. Only 3% of Channel arrivals have ever been returned, meaning a 97% success rate for this elaborate deception. If you're still with me, hit that like button. It tells me you want the truth, not just the headlines. But if you think this channel chaos is bad, wait until you hear what's happening in Germany. Remember when Germany used to matter in world politics? Well, 84% of Germans just shattered that illusion with brutal honesty. A devastating new survey reveals that German citizens don't believe their own Chancellor Friedrich Merz can influence Donald Trump on Ukraine. Not 54%, not 64%, but 84% of Germans think their leader is irrelevant in the most critical negotiations of our time. Here's where it gets truly humiliating. Even 73% of Merz's own conservative supporters think Trump doesn't care what Germany says. This isn't just a polling disaster. This is a nation accepting its own political insignificance. And now, listen carefully. This survey exposes the harsh reality that Europe has become a spectator in its own backyard conflict. The Forsa poll for RTL shows Germans have completely lost faith in their country's diplomatic weight. Think about this for a moment. Germany is Europe's largest economy. It's been Ukraine's second biggest weapons supplier after America. It hosts the largest US military presence in Europe. Yet Germans themselves admit their chancellor might as well be talking to a wall when it comes to influencing Trump. This isn't foreign criticism, this is domestic surrender. You won't believe this, but the survey shows 81% of Germans don't expect any peace agreement soon between Russia and Ukraine, proving they've lost hope in diplomatic solutions entirely. You won't believe this level of diplomatic humiliation. While Merz desperately calls for European unity and independence from America, his own citizens are basically saying, "Who are we kidding?" Even more devastating, 56% of Germans believe European leaders play zero role in Ukraine negotiations. Zero role. Let that sink in for a moment. The continent that's paying billions to support Ukraine, the continent that's dealing with millions of refugees, the continent that faces the direct threat from Russian expansion, and even their own people think they're irrelevant. Merz himself admitted Europe must not overestimate ourselves when dealing with Trump and Putin. That's their own chancellor throwing in the towel on European influence. Here's where it gets worse. Trump is already conducting direct negotiations with Putin without consulting European allies, exactly what Germans feared would happen. The Alaska summit between Trump and Putin proceeded without any European representation, proving German skepticism was completely justified. Just imagine that for a second. Europe is being treated like a junior partner in decisions about its own security. When Merz talks about achieving independence from the US, Germans know it's fantasy because they've watched America sideline Europe in real time. Only 13% of Germans believe their chancellor can significantly influence Trump, meaning 87% have accepted their country's diplomatic irrelevance. What do you think? Comment below if this sounds like the end of European power as we know it. This is what the collapse of Western authority looks like in real time. Britain can't control its own borders because criminals are gaming our humanitarian laws. Germany can't influence negotiations about a war on its doorstep because America simply doesn't care what Europe thinks. These aren't separate crises, they're symptoms of the same disease, Europe's loss of sovereignty and strategic relevance. The false distress calls in the Channel and the German survey results both tell the same story. Europe has become weak, predictable, and easily manipulated. While we debate amongst ourselves, real power players like Trump and criminal networks are reshaping reality around us. We're not just observers anymore, we're becoming victims of our own irrelevance. Stay vigilant, stay informed, stay angry about this systematic destruction of European security. Like this video if you demand better leadership, subscribe for daily truth-telling that mainstream media won't touch, and support independent journalism that exposes these uncomfortable realities. The truth is the only weapon we have left. People often ask me in the comments, "Who are you to talk about politics? What gives you the right to analyze the news like that?" So let me answer that once and for all. I didn't start out wanting to be in the media. It happened gradually. At first I was just curious, trying to understand how the world works, how power operates. I ended up behind the scenes, working with major outlets, producing content, researching stories, and that's when I started to see it. Not in theory, but with my own eyes, the quiet edits, the stories that vanished, the topics we were told to hold off on for now. It's not always shouting or orders from above, it's more subtle than that, a raised eyebrow in a meeting, a shift in tone, a paycheck tied to silence. At some point I realized I wasn't helping inform people, I was helping shape a narrative, and that hit hard. Walking away wasn't easy, it meant stepping into uncertainty, but it also meant I could finally speak honestly. For me, freedom of speech isn't just about saying what you want. It's about refusing to pretend, refusing to play along. It's about looking people in the eye and telling them what you really see. If that resonates with you, if you want to support real talk with no filters, hit that like button, leave a comment, and make sure you're subscribed. It helps way more than you think.